Welcome back, traders. We're going to be going over AMC and GameStop today, so make sure to stay the full length of the video and to also slap the subscribe button if you guys find value. We are, I think, 34, 36 subscribers away from 1,000, so make your contribution, baby. But without a doubt, without anything else, let's get into GameStop, because GME is doing something that is very, very bullish in my opinion, and it has not done it in quite some time. In quite some time. It's fascinating to see this macro since September, right? This RSI falling wedge on the 4-hour. And this broke today. Broke with some velocity. So what I expect is price to follow through. And that's a good sign, because you are just peeking your head out of the falling wedge as you rocket out of the RSI wedge. This being technically confluent makes me absolutely jacked. It makes me excited for the short term, but we'll talk about the long term and what I expect to happen afterwards. But in the meantime, the short term, I do expect a little bit of a relief bounce up here to that $23 area. Why $23? Well, $23 is that crucial area that you've used as a uptrend, and it just so happens to meet not just at $23.50 perfectly almost. It also meets with this uptrend as well as this downtrend, and where things typically align or cross each other, you see price kind of follow. It just typically happens that way. I can't tell you why or how, but the combination of this RSI falling wedge, this super tight price falling wedge, and then the 4-hour Bollinger Bands constricting and tightening, guys. It is about time for you to see some volatility in this stock. As all three of these things happen at the same time, I anticipate going into tomorrow, if it is a green day, you cross back above your 4-hour mid-band of the Bollinger Bands. And what this allows to happen, basically, is for the bands to begin to expand and price follow back up with this choppy kind of formation, right? This U-shaped accumulation pattern back to previous support, which will then turn and flip as new resistance. And why do I think that, right? Well, the first thing being, not just, and let me turn off the Bollinger Bands for just a second. And stay with me here. Not just do you have this downtrend and this uptrend meeting, but you've now established with this bounce and the bottom of the falling wedge, this potential long-term falling wedge pattern. So if you reject here, I would anticipate you go down and you make one more lower low at around $19.20 to $19, trading into this pinnacle of support until you hit that low 19s. And I know that's not the sexiest thing that you could hear, but that is a potential formation building here if that rejection does happen off this uptrend. So that is what I'm saying to watch for. Even if we see that rejection, it is not the end of the world. In fact, this is a bullish reversal formation, and we will continue to watch. Do you guys know what to watch for in a falling wedge? You watch for the volume profile. You watch for the RSI to see if there are any touches of bullish or bearish divergence. And you watch the candlesticks. So you've broken the 4-hour RSI wedge. You have yet to break out of the daily RSI wedge. But this would absolutely send you, I believe, in my opinion. Today you did break above the RSI midband, which is a pretty huge thing while you broke out of your RSI falling wedge. Or your price falling wedge, right? I know there's a lot of wedge within the wedge, but unfortunately that's the way that the market makers have made DA. I don't make the game, I just follow it, right? So GME, the falling wedge has broken. We're now waiting for volume, particularly institutional volume, to step in, right? As you see this, how much is that? It's about 16 to 15% move along this trend line that I expect to happen within the next 2 weeks until we see what happens. You're just going to have to wait and see. If you reject here, well, you're within a falling wedge. If you break back above, you're in a busted pattern. And if you break back above, that is a whole nother ball game. But we're talking about technical probabilities here. I wanted to cover on GameStop, though, what I think is more important, and that is the MACD. I am such a lover. I can't get enough of the MACD, guys. So to see that you have just been red since early October has been very sad. And I completely understand why the stock is doing what it's doing. But what's exciting is you look how close those two lips are to kissing. Look at those two bands. You're like this. You could literally only fit a needle through it. And that gets me excited because once that crosses, well, that'll be the first cross you've had all the way since August, guys. That is insane. Insane. That cross in August brought you up 30%. Not to say that that'll happen again, but you go back in time and you look at what were your other crosses. Where do they happen? This one brought you 32%. This one brought you 35%. So you're seeing pretty much about a 30% swing off of the daily MACD. And where would that bring you today? Because I am all about technical probabilities. If it has happened the last 3 times, 30% takes you actually a healthy move up to 26 to 27, depending on where you lie. So that would be a very, very nice relief bounce. I'm not sure if that's going to happen because you have so much technical resistance up here. Not only do you have the holy grail trend line that you actually fell beneath, shockingly, that you bounced off of in the first squeeze of 2024, and then you bounced off of the all-time low of GameStop that led you to your MOAS or your large term squeeze. So gaining that as support is going to be freaking critical going into the end of the week as I make my chart spasm. Yeah, that's what I'm watching, guys. Watch for the daily MACD to potentially cross up here. As you see, IWM absolutely banging, guys, outside of this falling, broadening wedge. Technical target is about 250. So you continue to trade within this kind of chop in IWM. Granted, it is chop at an all-time high. So that's why I'm so bullish on risk on assets is you are literally consolidating at the all-time high. So risk on assets still look nasty. In my opinion, nothing to worry about. AMC. Woo, AMC. Let's see AMC. So your low 205. What are the odds? What is the technical probability that that is your low? I'm not sure, but you did get a red candle today while the rest of the market was green, and that kind of happened because you opened up super green and you closed red, right? You saw that dial back. But the thing that we're watching for and that I covered in my last video was I thought you were going to come up to the 9-day EMA and reject. And that's pretty much exactly what you did here. Came up to the 9-day EMA. You saw hesitation by the stock. Very similarly to GameStop, you're seeing a curl up on the daily MACD, and that is a positive development because you have not gotten a daily MACD cross since September. Since September 9th, guys. And what was your return? AMC typically runs a little bit harder off of these daily MACD crosses, and so that's why I like to cover it. And that return was approximately, that was 19%, which is not harder, but the last one you had this one, took you from 2 all the way up to 350. Kind of a nothing burger, to be honest. 29%. This one was kind of wild. Crossed right here. So a 58% move. So that was your initial push up. But what we're watching for AMC is this daily MACD cross and the return to this down channel of the falling wedge. If you reject here, well, that's not a good sign. But we're going to have to continue to watch, guys. We are an all-time low. And so what we're basically doing is trying not to catch the falling knife, because that is one of the worst things you can do. This thing could absolutely capitulate all the way down to 170, 150, 140. Of course, it's not likely, but it is possible, right? And so we're trying to look for bullish reversal signs or bullish reversal signals within the stock or the indicators that it gives us. And I do have one today that I'd like to cover. Within the RSI, guys, we mentioned this so many times in the previous month about AMC, but within the RSI, you have a unique opportunity to do something you have not done since 2020. You have this falling wedge formation. This one's a little bit more gracious than the last. I gave a trend line tap there, trend line tap there, and then trend line tap here. You wicked beneath, and now you're sitting right below it. But technically, for you guys' information, that is 3 lower lows, right? Lower low, lower low, lower low. Within the RSI, guys, you have made 3 consecutive higher highs or higher lows on the RSI and higher highs. This is quite literally a 3 rising valleys on the RSI. That is bullish, guys. I cannot explain to you guys how big of a deal that is on the weekly RSI to see 3 lower lows and 3 lower highs, right? Let's draw this out. Lower low. Pretty much an equal low. Lower low. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Meanwhile, the RSI is screaming you that this thing is not over with. It's not cooked. So what I'm anticipating, if you can find this bounce, guys, if you can find the bounce within this falling wedge or back within this channel, what I would anticipate, let's say you get up to 250 to 260, guys, that this touch of bullish weekly divergence is officially in, and you see this RSI begin to turn around to this mid-band. If and when that happens, guys, that would be the first time, and I've been analyzing this chart for quite some time, besides for back here. This is your only other time in which you had bullish weekly divergence that you did not play out. Or if you did, it was here, right? You had lower low, lower low, higher low, and then you just saw price absolutely scream. So we have not gotten this move, to be frank with you. This is another example in AMC's chart. Lower low, higher low. And that persisted all the way down until here, until you finally broke it with strength. That led to not just 100% gainer, it's 150% right there, but 200% gainers. This is 160%. And so when we're talking about a potential squeeze opportunity or potential bottoming, this is going to be tremendous to see what this thing does. And I am going to be licking my lips if you see this thing turn and potentially make its way back up. Because exactly what you did back here, right? This formation is the exact same thing you did back in 2020, guys. You made that technical lower low or equal low and this higher low, higher low, higher low before you absolutely squoze out of this world 1,000%. And I'm not saying that it's going to be an 1,000% move. What I'm saying is weekly RSI divergences, bullish divergence at that, is a tremendous opportunity to watch and analyze and see what becomes of it. And you have that on AMC right this moment. So that is my only coverage on AMC. That is what matters in this moment. Anything else, guys? Anything else? Weekly MACD turned red. That's not good. Monthly MACD still green. Quarterly MACD still tight. And so in the macro, if we get that kind of swing up, you're looking for the first MACD flip in AMC's history since 2021, when you saw a 400% move. And then following that, right, a 455% move. So you quite literally need a spring out of these depressive levels. And if you get it, guys, I anticipate some kind of funky, funny, coordinated fundamental news to come out with it alongside it. But that is my DD, guys. That is my coverage on AMC, GameStop, and IWM. I hope you guys are all having a blessed Monday, and I look forward to covering it the rest of the week. Look at Bitcoin at 89K. It's a beautiful day to be alive, guys. God bless each and every single one of you guys, and slap that subscribe button. Let's get it. Come on. Let's go.